Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of World Psychic Hygiene Week. It's lovely to connect with you all here again and begin to read the field, whether you're joining live or the replay. It doesn't matter because this is a powerful multidimensional space. So say hi in the chat. Let me know how you're feeling today. One word adjective. Okay, good to know. And let's move from head down into heart. And let's just take a moment to settle here and land. And I am, if you're new here, by the way, if you just stumbled on this live, which YouTube sometimes, brings it out to people who've never been here before, I am Aisha Love. I'm the founder of Multidimensional U. I'm a metaphysician, a multidimensional guide, and I help the world's healers get in alignment with their soul plan. All the various evolutionary levels of that, because it's a big moment for healers worldwide. We are circling the wagons, doing a 180, doing work like we're about to do here, which is really clean house, clean up the distortion, the wounding, the victim consciousness, the heavy energy, the shadow in our templates so that our emanation, i.e., our holographic projection, becomes something much more loving, balanced, coherent, and that projects out into the reality fields and begins to shift. But we took on a lot of density in our ancestral lines here. So I've been having this conversation quite a bit today with clients. Some of it is just what is on the planet. It's very prevalent. We have thousands of years of ancestral trauma that has never been healed or alchemized. Some of it, and I will cop to this, is our soul's own hubris that we wanted to take on an even greater challenge in this lifetime to see if we could do that, right? So just like when you become an athlete, and let's say you're used to, I hike mountains, you can want to summit a bigger mountain, and it's the mountain of self. So this orientation today is interesting because what I'm being shown, in addition to cleaning up our personal stories, which we did on day 1, clearing the cache, yesterday clearing collective stories and opting out of them and not rushing in to fill in a new story. Today we're being invited to, and I can hear laughter in the field, to reflect on the reflections that are presenting themselves in our world. So before we do this, and I explain that a little deeper, and we begin to do some clearing work to support with this exercise, first I want to take all judgment off the table. Biggest wounded motivation you may have heard me say on the planet is getting it right. There's no right or wrong. So we're going to just move all judgment out and move into much greater love and compassion as we approach this subject. Because if we don't approach it with love and compassion, we could end up approaching it harshly. The victim consciousness is presenting. So if there's any place in life in which you still feel like a victim, we're going to start to soften that and start to clear that, because that is one of the biggest distortions in our perception that just taints everything, colors everything, runs everything through a story, and we don't see clearly. And then we act from a wounded place, and then we keep repeating the same pattern. So that one is really pernicious. There we go. Yeah, I can feel it beginning to come up out of the heart and the jaw. So again, it's not to judge being in victim. It's more to bring it up into the body so we can clear it here. Woo. At the very root of it, choosing to stay in the rut of victim, which granted we inherited from ancestral lines. So break it down, plain speak. Mom and dad complained a lot. Grandma and grandpa complained a lot about their lot in life, about life being hard, et cetera, et cetera. They out there. We grew up in that soup. We became that. And now begins the earnest endeavor of overriding that and changing it. changing the sense that I'm a victim and life is happening to me. There we go. So we're starting to get some energy movement on this and bringing it up in the body. There we go. Good. Okay, I can feel root chakras shifting and moving and clearing. Okay, good. Now that we got some energy moving in that, all that stagnant energy, now we can approach the exercise that we're being given today, which is everything in our reality is a reflection. And when we treat it that way and we approach it that way, it's a gift because now we know what we're working with. So that's why you can see why it was important to clear the victim orientation first, because if we didn't get that energy moving, this would feel so defeatist. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about clearing up old stories around feeling like a victim that we inherited, that we developed in this lifetime. We're moving that energy so that we can approach the reality for what it is, which is a mirror dimension. Everything here is a reflection of what's inside. There we go. Yeah, I'm feeling people start to release more in the solar plexus. So what we project out is what we see reflected back. It's the reason why you could wake up and see a beautiful sunny day and feel like life is going well, and your neighbor could wake up and feel like, you know, the sunny day was an insult, a slap in their face because they had to work that day and it's so beautiful out, but they have to work. And you're like, you just completely different experiences based on the orientation and narrative. So it gets run through a weird distortion in the meaning that we ascribe to it. And that's what appears. It appears that this whole week is about redacting our stories. So where do I still play in victim? That's the invitation today. Where do you still play in a victim narrative and like mindset? Feel into that for yourself. Again, no judgment, just we got to bring it up. You can't heal what you can't feel, right? Maybe let me know. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you here. Awesome. I'm so glad that you're feeling the effects of these days. This one is it's a little more pernicious and it feels a little heavier to me. It also feels a little self-righteous, like it doesn't want to give up its story. No judgment. We're not interested in getting into a tug of war with it. Just witnessing it with love. But yeah, okay, so there's more clearing. This is at the level of the jaw starting to shift. If I weren't so busy being a victim, who would I be and what would be possible? There we go. That's opening. That's opening some pathways. Just that invitation and contemplation. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great question, Rosemary. Like you've got narcissists. What does that say about you as a person if the reality is a mirror? Well, let's go in there. So feel the judgment right away. That is number one curriculum. So if you were in fact attracting narcissistic people to you somehow in this mirror dimension, do you feel the judgment you have towards yourself about that? That's number one. Anytime we're in resistance to something that's showing us where we're judging and like we're saying that's not okay, like that would really bother me because this is really wrong. Oh, there we go. All that judgment creates so much noise that we can't get underneath what really is there, which again, love is the foundation. So this is what we're doing is we're finding all the ways in which um without trying to like solve that problem because I don't see the world in terms of problems anymore. I just see them in terms of reflections. I think what I can feel is the most wide ranging answer to that the spirit of your question, Rosemary, and I'm sure many people can relate to you, maybe within their own circumstances. I'm going to use finances. So many people that I've worked with, healers. What do you mean? If I'm not doing well financially, this means a reflection of what's in here. Oh my God, I hate that. I don't want to face that. Okay, but see, we're personalizing it like it's a bad thing and we have shame. And so whether you recognize it or not, that judgment about like how struggling with finances is super judgmental towards yourself. That is not unconditional love. So where we get to first is getting to equanimity with that. There's nothing wrong. Of course, it's a frustrating situation. I've been there myself in order to show myself that I loved myself when I was successful and I didn't when I wasn't. And I had that lesson was hard earned, let me tell you. Like my ego did not want to give up the goose on that one. I still have to like relinquish that. The other one that a lot of healers are in, myself included, that I'm coming out of, I have to be a lone wolf, hyper independent, hyper vigilant, and no one supports me. And so we'll play out those scenarios as well. So victim is a victim is a victim, I'm hearing. And until we, I don't know, I'm gonna raise my hand on this one. Until we suffer enough, we usually don't hit the ground on our knees and just go like, I give up. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Please, I'm open to seeing what I just can't see. It's in my blind spot. And having done this in multiple facets of my life, I understand that we're all operating with ancestrally informed blind spots of wounded motivation, meaning underneath like all of that striving and um, forcing is a much deeper sense of like, we in the ancestral lines don't deserve it. We're not worthy. This is the deep, deep stuff that we're here to alchemize. So, the reason I can tell we're being invited to see the world as a reflection of what's in here is some part of us is projecting that out into the world to have a platform and experience to catalyze the much deeper healing. So we can stay in projection and blaming them out there. And, like if you're in any of my groups, you know that like someone brings something in, we're not going to trash the person that they're talking about. In fact, we're going to send them love because there are plenty of people who are struggling and are not very nice in the world. But we begin to understand where that's coming from. It's coming from their pain and their unresolved wounding. So we are in this space are really interested in getting underneath all of that or not. And if you're not interested in that, there is absolutely no judgment either. I just know from personal experience, like, it's going to be a bit of a rough go because our souls really want to bring this level of honesty and truth to us. So, for example, I'll give you one from this morning to break this down. I had a wounded part of mine, probably 3 years old, come up and kind of start hijacking things based in its own distorted narrative of like, no one cares or like, I'm not cared about. And I just watched it act out in ways that my adult is like, oh boy, that's that's a fiction. That's not even true. But I can see how you see it that way. So then we set about this process that we're in right now of okay, what are the ways in which I'm still entertaining I'm a victim? Now we're going to really put on our big girl and boy pants and say, okay, I'm going to take full responsibility for my reality. And this is a mirror dimension. So everything that I'm working with is a reflection. And I get to work with that. And I get to work with it one of two ways as a victim, which we kind of know what that is because it's very prevalent on the planet, or as a ever awakening conscious being intent on remembering that at its foundation it is love and it wants to find all the ways in which it has distorted that love. And so now the reflection becomes a gift. It's the judgment about the reflection that's causing the suffering. I hope everyone can feel that. So let's go in and begin to work with that. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just helping begin to shift some of that harsh, harsh energy. And a lot of that's ancestral. Mm, yeah, there we go. Lots in the root. Woo! Woo! And in the solar plexus, there's so much churned up today. So lots of anger in the root, lots of anxiety and churn in the solar plexus. This is good. We want to move all of this up and out. There we go. That feels better. Oh my goodness. I will be the first to admit this is not easy work, y'all. This is like going to the spiritual gym. You don't go to the gym one time and be like, "Look, I'm so fit and I feel amazing and I'm so strong." Like this is on the daily, multiple times a day, really working at asking for help. Get a buddy for this work. Find someone who is just as committed to it as you are and begin to normalize it in a way that it isn't otherwise, right? So many healers around the world. When I was in Europe, I saw the same thing. It's like we put ourselves in self-isolation and then we just feel like it's us against the world. That's not how we're meant to keep going. So yeah, just there's a lot of clearing happening as we're talking about this. And it's kind of moving its way up through our central column. There we go. Ooh. All right, perfect. Talk about a reset. So, for those of you still with me, what I'm being shown by the teams, spirit teams, is that this orientation of everything's a reflection is going to be one of your greatest allies going forward. And that I'm being shown like, boop, 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 you can move up the levels really quickly. Okay. And I know this myself because, like, the old ruts of depression and same old thoughts, like, you can stay down in despair, but we have these cool new novel approaches to moving with this. And then we can play in these different octaves and these different playgrounds. All right, as we're doing that and we are beginning to move up, I can feel in the field the feeling of, yeah, but what are they going to think of me? So that fear of, there we go. We're going to help clear that. It's just you giving your power away and frankly kind of projecting our own self-rejection onto others and playing that whole game. So we're looking to start to collapse the hall of mirrors a little bit. There we go. Okay, that feels better. All right, I'm gonna go check out the chat now. Go ahead and let me know how you're feeling. Don't forget to sign up for Friday's live. We're gonna be doing this live on the screen. If you need extra help, please come get it. That day is when I open up my Illuminate program, and it'll be 5 weeks back to back during the holiday season. So you can get your Zen on and maintain it while you go to apply all of this work in family scenarios. So I'll put that link in there again so you can register for the live Zoom meeting. We'll be doing group activations and clearings and all right, I think that went in. Yeah. Okay, let me take a look here. Actually, I think I can read it without my glasses today. Yeah, denying any feelings. Yeah, and then that gets pernicious, Liz. We deny that we feel like a victim, right? You're welcome, Rosemary. I just want everyone to feel it. We have so much support. We have so much support. I was on a podcast interview earlier today, and the last message that wanted to come through surprised me. And it was said, hey, all those pets and animals, even wild animals that are showing up in your reality, that's part of your soul team, and they're here to support you emotionally. So lean into your animal friends. Like, ask all your spirit guides for help. Lean into your pets. Like, call a friend, phone a friend, get yourself out of isolation, spend time in person. We're mammals with nervous systems. It makes a difference, right? Yeah, huge self-hatred with financial insecurity. Well, now we know where the curriculum is, Liz. It's not about like fixing that. It's about meeting that with unconditional love. I always do this exercise with my clients. Would you go down the street to the homeless person, look them square in the eye, and go, "You piece of shit. How come you don't have your act together?" We would never dream of doing that to another person, and yet we're doing it inside of ourselves, to ourselves. So, woo, yeah, the inherited ways of just beating up on ourselves. The paradox is, as you clean this up, the reality shifts. I mean, that's the actual lesson. Like, there was no way I could get out of having to ask a friend for help and live with them for a while. It was absolutely a part of my curriculum. I just couldn't get to the deeper shadow work of loving myself unconditionally when I perceived myself not doing well any other way. And I really got it, and then I leaned into it, and then I derived all the benefit from it. I hope that's helpful. It feels like a big reframe in the back of your solar plexus and up the spine, rewriting perfectionist codes. live is so mind-blowing, and I'm really grateful for this container. Awesome. I, am so glad you're here. And we'll just keep on keeping on. Like we've talked about, um, these are the early days. If our grandparents had done this, can you imagine what our lives would be like? So let's think about that for the kids coming after us, grandkids and great-grandkids. They'll be like, "You lived how? You're gonna say what? That sounds hard and painful." Shame, like, shame? What's that? Yes, so there's the link right up there. Oh, the podcast, it's not out yet, Marcella, thank you. It'll come out, November 12th. It's, I'm sorry, I'm totally blanking on the name of the podcast, but I will just as long as you're part of my email list, I will be sending out, like, a whole bunch of backlog podcasts that have all come out so people can go catch up on those over time here. Wowza, I never see what's coming because it's not coming from my local data bank, it's coming from the greater field. Uh, but my human right now is just reflecting on what a gift this is and what a reframe it is to move out in the world, not bracing and judging and distorting what we're seeing with a bunch of old stories, but just being open to the reflection. And the more that we clear and shift our own template, the more that what we emanate out comes back as super loving. So if it's not super loving and it feels harsh, please don't take that as a personal judgment on yourself. Use it as an opportunity to soften the judgment and meet that moment, that reflection with as much love as you can, and just let it illuminate itself, bring itself into the light so you can see where you've been harshly judging yourself and soften that. This is the actual work. This is what changes the templates. And this is what changes our emanation, which changes the reality fields and offers humanity completely different templates, thereby evolving the human race. I had a beautiful call with someone earlier today, and her fear of visibility was being called out by her guides that it's not what she thinks it's going to be. The level of exposure that's feared when you look at things like the news and television is very harsh, dark, difficult, tons of polarity, drama, violence, aggression, but that's not where we're being called to be visible. We're being called to be visible in our own unique emanation and our own unique expression, and not many people are going to even be able to see that yet. So the people who can find you are the ones who are ready. I was telling this gal this story that a lot of people who've worked for me have been blown away that these spaces are full of love, comments on the YouTube channel. So don't fear visibility when you're coming from your authentic self and your beautiful heart. And once you've cleared distortion and disharmony and discord, guess what? What you put out, law of cause and effect, what gets reflected back. And in the interim, what I'm hearing is anything that feels harsh that's being reflected back, please, please, please see it as the gift it is, presencing something within us that's ready to be loved up, not condemned or pushed away. These parts want to come home. They're the exiled, most wounded, most abandoned parts of us. And our ancestors just didn't have the consciousness to do this work. So we get to do it. Yay! Reframe, right? All right, well, go ahead as we wrap up here. Maybe one word as we go out, how you're feeling. And you may need to watch this one a few times to let this one kind of chip away at the old ego and self concept. And I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 4 and then live in the Zoom gathering on October 10th, 10:10 at 10 a.m. Mountain my time, 12 noon New York, 5 p.m. London. And I'll be opening up my Illuminate program, like I said, which begins November 16th for 5 weeks back to back through November 7th, my birthday. We're basically taking 50% off tuition so that it's even more accessible to people. Thanks to some awesome former clients who have helped me create a scholarship fund. Woohoo! You feel lighter. Great, Pam. Rosemary blessed. Oh, thank you, Marcella. I'm glad you're happy to be here. And, yeah, for those of you who, are catching the replay, please do leave a comment. I always ask because it helps me, uh, this thing that we're in of reciprocity and getting an exchange, and then it inspires me as well as it helps other people find this. It shifts the algorithm on YouTube. And then, hey, practicing the art of receiving. I've had a lot of these conversations with clients today. Most healers, most of us are out of balance in overgiving and not receiving. So, to that end, um, I am going to put my donate link in the chat. And if you feel called, whatever amount is so graciously received. And look at me, I get a gold star for practicing asking and opening up for receivership. Yay me! Look, I'm gonna give myself a gold star. And I encourage you all to do the same thing. Where can you ask for help today? Go do that and balance yourself out. Because remember, the templates, that's not balanced. It is not more noble to give than receive. It's out of balance. And as the frequencies increase, that's a wobble, and the wobble is going to get really shaky, and then the whole thing's going to come apart. So a little goes a long way, I'm hearing. A little asking for help goes a long way right now. See, the guides are like, they really need to hear this. A little goes a long way right now. Try it out. Ask for a little help and watch what shifts in your reality. And then come back and report to me here. All right. I love you all. Yes. Thank you so much. So glad you all feel lighter. Okay. And then I will see you tomorrow, my friends. I'm going to send you all a heart. There we go. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.